over whether or not there was hacking. Listen to cut number 9 real quick, if you don't mind, Liz, from Julian Assange. He did an interview with Sean Hannity last night.
We published, as part of our policy of full disclosure, not interfering with the material, we published the several Podesta emails, which shows Podesta responding to a phishing email. Now, how did they respond? Podesta gave out that his password was the word password. His own staff said, this email that you've received, this is totally legitimate. So this is something a 14-year-old kid could have hacked based on Podesta that way.
Yeah, Julian Assange, a 14-year-old kid, maybe a 400-pound 14-year-old kid who happened to live in Russia. We don't know for sure. Catherine Herridge is joining us right now from the Fox News channel. Catherine, how are you?
Good, thank you.
What's your take? Did we learn anything new in this Assange interview last night?
Well, he went on the record and said that the source for the DNC emails and those from the Clinton campaign, so that's the chairman, John Podesta, did not come from the Russian government, and he said it did not come from a state actor. He didn't provide more information than that. This has been his consistent position over the last few months, but there's been new information about the possible source of the emails, so he's been very definitive. So I think that that's an important news element. What it's done is it's created sort of a ripple effect, and we've now heard from the CIA Director, John Brennan, who told PBS in response that he questioned the credibility of Julian Assange and that the report would contain details that went to this issue of intent and whether it was the wish of the hackers to help Donald Trump become elected as president.
So obviously we haven't heard the end of this story. From your reporting, from your sources in the intelligence community, are they concerned about Donald Trump's reaction to this so far?
I want to sort of say they're concerned about what his reaction is. The concern is very much the quality of the information and the quality of the assessment and whether, how would I put it, the report is a true reflection of that information. What I would say to your listeners is the way these reports typically work is that they have the bottom line up front, what their assessments are. So what do they think happened here? What were the motives of the individuals? And how confident are they based on the information that they have? So when you read these assessments, they'll say we have low confidence, high confidence. Depends on the quality of the information. So when you read a document like this, it almost never has what I would call smoking gun evidence that says we have this piece of intelligence, therefore we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is how it all played out. Sort of like what you would expect in court. It doesn't. It's they say it's more an art than a science when it comes to intelligence analysis, and it's going to be this kind of gray area, if you will, which I think the debate will continue in even after the declassified version of the report is public. And just one sort of final point on this. For your listeners, understanding a hacker's intent, this is a very high threshold in terms of intelligence. It would typically involve having human spying, so a human intelligence source, so someone on the inside, or it would involve the interception of an electronic communication, so email, a phone call. It could be, traffic between aircraft if you were looking into the downing of a jet. This is very hard intelligence to get, and once you reveal it, you have to make the decision that the value of revealing it is more important than burning the source because it's so specific that you will lose that way to collect the information, in the future.
Sure.
So this is, I'd like to say it's sort of a simple thing, but the document itself it's not what I would call a smoking gun document. It's something that will talk about how much confidence they have based on the information, and in some cases, there's no other reasonable explanation for how it happened. So John Brennan, the CIA director, seems very confident that they're going to be able to answer these lingering questions about intent and what the goal was, and that Assange is, he almost seems to refer to him like a dupe, that he was played by the Russians. But I think that based on our reporting, we're going to know a lot more by the end of this week about the quality of the information and what it really tells us.
Interesting. The NSA chief crosses over administrations, doesn't he?
He should.
Okay.
But nothing really is going as it should.
Well, that's
right
true.
now. So the NSA director has also been to Trump Tower, and the reporting is that he's being considered to be the director of national intelligence, which is sort of the manager of the entire intelligence community. So that job there's been no nomination there, and that's a very important slot because it's either going to be to bolster the structure that has existed post 9/11, or maybe to oversee the dismantling of this layer of management that was created.
Yeah, I suspect in the intelligence community there was probably a sigh of relief that the Russians didn't do the same thing with our intelligence folks in Russia that we did with the ones here in the U.S. Do you know if?
Well, they're playing a game of chess, the Russians. And one of the things they've done in the past is they often deny to force another government to make public the information that they have. And by doing so, the Russians are able to, burn a source for them for collection. So this is sort of how they operate. And I know it sounds very dramatic to expel these 35 Russian diplomats, but based on everything that we've learned, they were relatively low-level individuals, and these what they call encampments. So when you sort of look down the hierarchy as to what's sort of a very sort of sensitive residence versus an encampment, the embassy would be at the top, and the encampment would be down near the bottom. So it was kind of, I would argue, a low-hanging fruit situation.
Yeah,
I know it sounds very dramatic, but I'm not really. I think it was kind of a slap on the wrist, really.
Yeah, it seems like they took it that way too.
Yeah.
Catherine Herridge from the Fox News Channel. Look forward to your reports.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
having me. Okay.
All right, take care. I appreciate that. Wanted to get that straight from Catherine. There you have the potentially director of national intelligence, who's currently the NSA director, being considered for the DNI spot with Trump, and yet Trump coming out publicly and questioning this in the intelligence itself. I see that Mitch McConnell is speaking right now, and Mike Pence is standing right behind him. So we're waiting for Pence to take to the microphone, which I assume he will here in just a moment. He already spoke. So we've recorded some of that audio, and I'm hoping to get to it in just a couple of minutes. I see Senator Blunt back there, too. Is that what you're pointing to? I catch on quickly. Can you tell? I've got Jason Church and Liz both pointing to the television monitor.
Look who's right behind McConnell.
I completely overlooked Senator Blunt.